good? Okay. I want to talk to you guys about a fairly serious topic today, and that is sexual assault on college campuses. It's kind of a downer, but it's an important topic because we all go to college. So the list you see before you, that is 6 of the 185 schools currently under federal investigation for mishandling sexual assault complaints by students. And one of the schools that is on that list of 185 is Cal Poly, which is something that I definitely did not know coming to school here. And it's something that all schools being accused of are doing their best to kind of hide and make sure that students incoming don't know until they've paid for school. So I want to talk to you guys about the story of how we've gotten to the place that we are today. And that begins at Yale. And a letter was filed, or a letter was sent to the Department of Education, 26 pages filed by 19 students, accusing Yale of mishandling sexual assault claims, sexual harassment, sexual violence, things like that. And these allegations held Yale as violating Title IX. And as you can see here, Title IX says, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be subjected to discrimination under any education program receiving federal financial assistance." And that is, federal financial assistance is a big part of public universities. And the part that is kind of a little caveat that not many people know is that sexual harassment, sexual assault, and rape are all considered discrimination on the basis of sex. So what ended up happening to Yale was essentially just a slap on the wrist. The federal government, it was the first time that something like this had happened, really. The conversation hadn't really been started yet about what was going on campus. So it was kind of unheard of, unlike now. And so Yale got away with a slap on the wrist. They had to change some policies, and they had to make sure that more students knew about the campus resources that were available, and that was kind of all that happened. But that was a precedent that would soon be broken because it soon became apparent that this was a much bigger issue than just Yale. So what was the government going to do about it? The Civil Rights Office within the Department of Education soon began opening a ton of investigations. And in May of 2014, they publicly listed all the schools that were under investigation, and there were 55. And a year after that, in December, Cal Poly was added to that list. The Chronicle of Education states that the number of investigations grew to 235 235 investigations at 185 public universities as of May in 2015. So just a year after they publicly stated the original 55, they added 130 schools to that list. And compared to the 235 cases that have been filed, 50 have been solved. Less than 50 have been solved. So it's kind of an interesting number. One of the problems with this is that the Department of Education is understaffed. They aim to resolve claims in 180 days. But with over 180 claims, that would be, essentially, if you went through it, that would be them solving a claim almost a day, one claim a day, after the claim gets filed, which is unrealistic. So in 2016, the last year of the Obama administration, their budget allotted $107 million to the department in order for them to hire 200 plus employees. In order for them to be able to give a favorable outcome to all people involved in the situations. And this is a little chart kind of showing how quickly the total went up. And this includes up to 2016. There were 315 total claims. So progress takes time, and those hires happened last year, so we're still seeing the progress right now. But that's what the government has done. The government is not the only people involved, though. The universities also have a huge role in what happens with this. So what have they been doing? Some of you may remember Alcohol EDU in Haven. And those are what they called required safety education that you have to take as an incoming freshman. And they kind of educate you on issues that you might face or run into on campus. And Haven, in particular, and many systems like it, have success stories that make it seem way more, I guess, beneficial or productive than it might actually be. So there's a story like this that was taken from Haven. The young man watched his fraternity brother at a large university lead a woman up the stairs during a house party. Something didn't feel right. The woman was clearly intoxicated and needed help climbing. "Hey dude, your car's getting towed," he yelled, with a predictable result. His quick thinking, which created an opportunity for the woman's friends to whisk her away, was inspired by training he had received a few weeks earlier. So that was a story that I read when I was taking this. I don't know about you guys. But stories like these make it seem as though the programs are an end-all solution to sexual assault being a problem on campus, which is not the case. But that being said, it's a huge improvement. Schools like Dartmouth and UC Santa Cruz have a full week that they dedicate to talking about topics like cultural attitudes about sex and rape and things like that need to be changed. And these programs, while they are a clear step in the right direction, it's not necessarily enough to be done because obviously, as the numbers show, sexual assault cases keep climbing. So how is it working? Statistically speaking, it's not working at all. But that is not... It's hard to look at the statistics and say that that's the only thing that matters. The increase could be attributed to the fact that the conversation about sexual assault has gotten a lot bigger. In 2011, when the report was filed at Yale, the conversation about sexual assault was not nearly as big as it is today. And it was at a time when victims of assault were not necessarily feeling like they were able to come out and talk about it. Whereas today the conversation is much larger, so people don't necessarily feel like they are suppressed or their voices won't be heard if they are to come out and talk about it. In general, the conversation has gotten a lot bigger, and that is one of the most important things about the increase. It's hard to know what the data means, but only time will tell again if the programs implemented by the government and the schools together will combine to make a positive outcome. If you were someone like me who found Haven and Alcohol EDU to kind of be, a waste of your summer time, why do I have to take this? It's really, after doing all this research, I think that it's time that we as universities across the nation rethink our priorities. Sexual assault on college campus is a huge issue because all of us go to college, and sexual assault has taken place on the very campus that we are standing and sitting on today. Prevention doesn't work if we as a student body aren't all on the same page, so let's take a step forward as a campus and make prevention a priority.